Good morning to you, everybody! Especially those of you who are subscribed to this channel, because that's really cool. Thank you, I appreciate you. This is the secret club. This is the place where the cool kids go. It's not. Sorry, if you're here, you're probably autistic like I am. This was a video idea that Jay Schlatt thought of about talking about your favorite YouTubers. He asked a bunch of other people to do the same thing to kind of spread that love around. And the reason I'm doing it is because Jack Manifold did a video talking about his favorite YouTubers and he challenged me. I am going into the ring, into the arena. I'm trying to pick people that are a bit more niche in different genres of content. Obviously, there's people that I watch like Vati. I watch a lot. Vati Vidya, who does all the FromSoft stuff, and like Iron Pineapple, Jack Frags, Corey Kenshin, like all of these people I watch, but everybody knows who they are. These are people that some of you might not know that are on the smaller end of the spectrum in terms of YouTubers. The first one on my list is someone named Ongbao, who is a Korean YouTuber by the name. They do a lot of stuff around FromSoft games as well, but also other Souls-like games, but their big thing is stuff like playing Sekiro without getting hit, playing Elden Ring level 1 versus Millennia, no hit parry kills. They are probably the best FromSoft gamer that I have seen. They do so many different challenges in FromSoft games, like doing Wukong. They fight, they don't get hit, and they do it in such a stylish way. There are other people who do this type of content where they don't get hit, and it's very impressive to see. But Ongbao does it in a way that also uses a bunch of different tools that the game has. You'll see him fight Millennia in a bunch of different scenarios, but it's always with different gear. It's always with different stuff. He'll change weapons midway and then kill her in like spectacular fashion. It's really impressive stuff. I wish I was half as good at these games as Ongbao is, so I think you should go check him out. Sticking in the video game side of things, I'm big into sort of retrospectives and longer form videos on gaming in general, especially if I'm sitting down to like paint. I like to have something on in the background, and while I love binge watching like The Simpsons or Brooklyn Nine-Nine or Friends or The Office, sometimes I'm in the mood to just listen to the story of a game that I know I probably won't play, or the story of a game that I have played that I want to know more about, or get more in-depth knowledge, or just go over it again and relive the game. And the first of these types of channels for me is a channel called Gingy. They make really good stuff. I've watched a bunch of their videos going over like Dark Souls 1, Elden Ring, Dark Souls 2 and 3. I watched their entire 5.5 hour video on the Metal Gear Solid retrospective because I went back through Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and 5. I would play like Metal Gear Solid 1 and then I would go back and watch his part of Metal Gear Solid 1. Not only relive it, but kind of like condense and listen to the story again in a more succinct fashion. Also pick up some stuff that maybe I missed. Gingy's a great channel. I was looking forward to his Metro retrospective, which I watched recently as well. Fantastic. I love it. The Stalker retrospectives are also very good. I highly recommend them. Another channel in that very same vein is I Finished a Video Game. Does some very good retrospectives on games as well. My favorite is the retrospective on Vagrant Story. Vagrant Story is one of those games that I really tried to play and I hated the gameplay. It just did not click with me at all. I really wanted to like it, but I fucking loved how Vagrant Story was written, how it was told, the type of story that it is, and I really loved the cinematography in that game. I really wish the creators of those games made more, but it's just a really good video going over a game that I myself probably wouldn't have played to completion, so it's nice to see someone who has a lot of passion for it go back over it as well. And I Finished a Video Game does not have that many videos, so you could watch that entire catalog if you wanted to, but he also does a good job going into like how the games are made and sort of the climate at the time. I really like it. I especially recommend the Vagrant Story video. That's my favorite one. I've watched that one twice and it's 3 hours long. That'll tell you how good it is. Another one is Max Durat. I found his videos through the Inside Story explanation and analysis from 8 years ago because I remember finishing that video or that game and I had some thoughts about it myself and I wanted to know if I was on the right track or if somebody else agreed or could explain it a bit better, and I ended up watching his video on that and it was really, really good. And then got into his videos that way by watching some of his other stuff. Some of the Silent Hill ones are really good. I like those a lot. Just a really great channel. Some really smart commentary on things. Some would argue that there's so much of this type of content on YouTube, but some people get it and do it in a way that is a lot more palatable to me, for my sort of tastes. And then another one in that vein, again, is Joseph Anderson, who a lot of you probably know. His Witcher series is probably what he's best known for. Still hasn't finished the Witcher 3 retrospective, and that's kind of like a meme that everyone's waiting for that to happen. I myself am still waiting for it to happen. I really liked them. I remember sitting down and I was playing something. I think I was just playing Elden Ring or something. I sit down and I play a game that I've like played a million times and I don't really need to pay attention to, so I watch something at the same time. That's how my brain relaxes, apparently. And I watched his entire 4-hour Witcher 1 retrospective and his 5-hour Witcher 2 retrospective, his hour-and-a-half Shadow of the Erdtree one, and the Elden Ring Shattered Masterpiece. I thought those were amazing. I really liked them. I catch up on some of his Twitch streams every now and then. I think he's very funny. He seems to have a great wit about him, so I really enjoy watching his content for that reason. And again, it's a little bit different. A lot of these channels kind of tackle similar formats to each other, but do it in a different way that I enjoy. Some of them are a bit more on the witty side, some of them are a bit more on the informational side, but these are some of the channels that I watch the most of. I'm a really big fan of Thomas Flight. He has 1 million subscribers, which a lot of you might think is a lot of subscribers in YouTube's landscape these days. I think it is, but a lot of people now think 1 million subscribers isn't anything, which is absolutely ridiculous, I think. 1 million subscribers is still a lot of subscribers, okay? Can we remember that? But Thomas does a lot of videos on movies and TV shows and stuff, and like the cinematography, like Substance, Neo-Expressionism. I really loved his stuff on Chernobyl. Just really great channel. I enjoy this a lot because I love movies and I love cinematography and I love acting and I love stories and all that stuff, but I also like listening to somebody else who knows a bit more about it talk about it and kind of like fill in subjective opinions where I might not know as much about something. Just a really, really great channel. The best performances of 2022. I like that stuff because I think he was the one that talked about subtlety in acting, which I'm a huge fan of. A lot of like, you'll see TikToks of the best acting of all time and it's just white men yelling at people. You can't handle the truth. Which can be great acting, don't get me wrong, but I really like the subtle acting where someone acts more like a person rather than a character. I remember watching Burning. I love that movie and it was because of his channel that I watched it, so highly recommend. Is this you? Do you sit down and after watching a movie you're like, I didn't really understand it, or I think I understand it, so I want to watch somebody else explain it. And then you end up watching somebody who's like, this movie explained, but all it is recapping the movie and it doesn't explain shit. That's why I like these types of channels, because they tend to fill in some gaps that maybe I didn't get or something that I think I got, and then they explain it from a top level and then I get it even more. I like channels like that. I like channels that go into it a bit more, maybe give a little bit of their own opinion. Another channel that explains lore very well, and because I'm semi into it, is Luton. Again, a lot of you will know this channel if you're into the Warhammer community. He is the Warhammer explainer guy. If you are curious about Warhammer at all, like you've watched my videos about painting some of the models, or you've watched the secret level thing, or like Astartes, if you've watched those and you're like, man, I want more, I want to understand this universe, then Luton is like the guy you go to. He's who I went to when I was painting in the beginning. I would be like painting a Space Marine and I would have his videos on in the background explaining Space Marines. And then I would have to pause it and go to the channels of the tutorials I'm following step by step and watch them paint, and then go back and unpause this video and get more lore. Like, I don't really get a lot of the lore in Warhammer. I really like the sort of human side of the 40k universe. I don't know, it's all subjective. It's all stuff that I feel like what I connect to, and I do like some of the Age of Sigmar side of Warhammer, like the fantasy aspect of it. And this is gonna like annoy a lot of the like die-hard Warhammer fans. The stuff that I'm into is that really gritty Space Marine aspect of it that has been shown in the Astartes shorts. I kind of get some of my fix with the Luton videos. Luton is a very, very good creator in terms of condensing information about Warhammer into a much more understandable format. It's very hard to wrap your head around. There's so much lore in it, but he gives you sort of like an in, like other things don't. But what's funny is that I found Luton through Battlefield. I remember Luton doing Battlefield videos back when I watched Level Cap. Level Cap was the guy that I started YouTube because of. Level Cap Gaming was the Battlefield YouTuber I watched, and I was like, man, that's cool. And he talked about his process and how he did it as a job. And I was like, man, you can do that? So I took it a bit more seriously because of his videos. And his logo and Luton's logo are like of the same vein because they used to play games together. And Luton's intro to like showing his name on screen and some of the sound effects behind it and like the music that plays is Battlefield music and sounds. Oldest videos, let's go back. It's all Battlefield stuff. And I think that's cool. It shows that somebody can like be into one type of content and then be like, I'm kind of done with this, and then morph and change and go into a different type of content, and not only still be successful at it, but be more successful at it and be really, really good at it. It's sort of a good lesson to know that you don't have to be shoehorned into the content that you make if you don't want to be. And now getting into sort of the arts and craftsy side of things. As many of you know, I've been big into painting and making things. First on that list, I would put North of the Border. Again, on the upper echelon of things, about to hit 2 million subs. Maybe you guys can help push that a little bit closer. North of the Border makes some really fun clay models, more so than just painting things. He also paints, but he gets so much more involved in it, and it's made me want to try out, maybe not clay, because clay looks really annoying and I think I would get really angry with it, but I think making stuff like dioramas I think is really cool, but I really love North of the Border style of making things, because not only will he make Toothless looking at a frog in a pond, but then he'll also make biblically accurate angels that are really horrifying, or chest burster Ash Ketchum, and it's like a perfect mix of gruesome with kind of like wholesome, and I really like the way he makes his content and his commentary and his voiceover and his editing style. I think it's just a really good channel. Another one that I absolutely fell in love with last year, and I found maybe in like November or December of last year, and I absolutely love not only his editing but his commentary style, is Studson Studio. He makes diorama type stuff as well, if like models, whatever you want to call them, like making the heron from The Boy and the Heron. He's also made Howl's Castle from Howl's Moving Castle. Massive piece, but he makes everything out of like junk. Howl's Moving Castle is made out of like milk cartons and bottle caps. What I find most interesting about this channel, I watched every second of that video because his editing and his commentary style was so fun that I didn't want to like click ahead. There's so many of these videos that it's like they don't talk, and then I'm like, you're just making like a ladder or something. I can like click ahead and then click ahead and then click ahead and like still pick up what's going on. But these videos I love watching because he's so funny, and the things he makes are really interesting to me, and the way he makes them is super interesting, and it's taught me more about how to make things and how to paint things in my own private personal time. It's also kind of like teaching me things, and I'm just fascinated by people who are able to make things like this, and I think this is a great channel. I highly recommend subscribing to them. And lastly, a channel that I found recently, I don't know how much of their content I'll continue watching, but I have watched like 4 of their videos recently. My favorite one was, the one that I found them through, was making Japanese bows. Their channel is called Process Maestro. They only have 26k subs. The views on their videos are nuts. I don't know why people aren't subscribing to them more, but I really like them, like how to make brooms, day in the life of a female rickshaw puller. Like that stuff's just interesting. It's stuff that I wouldn't have thought of. For traditional English longbow, I watched that video, and then the Japanese bow. The Japanese bow is just nuts. I love watching anything Japanese artisanal stuff, like bows and samurai swords, that kind of stuff. I watched how to make the pen. I didn't really like the pens, but the channel's there and I watched the whole thing. So this is just nice, relaxing type of content. And again, the editing and the shots are just so good. It relaxes me quite a bit, but I also get to see a master at work, which is very inspiring to see. And I like seeing people who are top of their game just work. I think everybody enjoys that. It's nice to see someone who knows what they're doing just get in and make a thing, and it's very satisfying to watch. So I like that channel a lot. But yeah, those are some of the channels that I've been watching in my spare time. Some of these other videos have only shown off like 6 YouTubers, but I've been like indulging in all of these channels. And people are always asking for like shout outs all the time. I guess because I got one from Felix a million years ago by now, and I just don't really know the avenue to do it. So I feel like this is a good way of doing it. I'm shouting at people that I genuinely enjoy and people aren't petitioning for. And I think it's a much more organic, natural way of doing it. And hopefully it helps some of these people. I don't really have specific people that I'm going to shout out to do this type of video. Like Jay Schlatt and Jack said, I think it's just a really great idea to be able to talk about some of your favorite YouTube channels and to be able to give them some sort of love or shine a light their way. I'm asking anybody to do this. I think anybody out there who's a YouTuber, especially if you have a second channel, if anybody wants to talk about their favorite YouTubers in any sort of way, this is a great excuse to do it. And I'm glad I did this because it was very fun to do. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much. Go shout out your favorite YouTubers. Go check out the ones that I shouted out in this video and just have a blessed day.